on in here, Julie.
Tight squeeze.
It's hot.
Yeah, sorry, it's hot in here.
Nice shoes.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Brandy, just to make sure with the wire or not.
I think I'm not listening, but they're metering, and with the mic, I think you're going to be fine if you leave the door open.
I think we're okay with the door open.
Yeah, if they keep quiet down there, if not, I'll shush you and have a
You want us to close the door?
Oh wow, I like this mic. I like it.
United Nations.
I like it. Did anybody see the All-In press conference? It was a disaster. We should have had this mic.
Solely because I wasn't there.
That's true. That's
You can
very
actually
true.
move it closer.
I like it.
Okay.
Alrighty, are we doing questions?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh man, you were in a blue suit earlier. Was that you? No, where's blue suit? Oh, there you are. Oh man, you don't even look alike. What was I thinking? Alrighty, it's very nice though. Summer color, kinda.
Yeah.
Can't get away with that in the winter, you know.
I have before.
Have you?
Forced myself to.
Confidence, huh?
Yeah.
That's the key.
Key to show up with your suit on.
I love it. I love it. Go ahead, my
Okay,
man.
yeah.
What's your name?
John, I'm from ProWrestling.net.
With an H? J-O-H-N?
That is correct.
Alrighty.
Okay, great to have you back in the Bay Area. The reason I bring that up is because I think the last time you were around here was in the Cow Palace, or that's just what I remember. It was against, both you, Brandi, Joey Bryan, and Candice were in the ring. Lots of stuff happened. But I remember, yes, Steel Cage. So how is it being back? Because I remember you mentioning several times how important it is to wrestle in the Cow Palace and the Bay Area for you.
Well, I mean, wrestling historians will tell you how important this area is. It's going to sound, I don't know if this is off-putting or if it's a little bit more just realistic, is San Francisco reminds me a lot of where I come from, and when I say that I mean Atlanta. As far as a market that used to be serviced for wrestling on a regular basis and is no longer. And why? I don't understand, because San Francisco is great. And the Cow Palace is great. Daly City, all that. I mean, if you take a look at All Pro Wrestling, that's what we were talking about. All Pro Wrestling is, when everybody asks me, what are your top four? I can tell you it's in the top four. That's why I kept going. So it reminds me a lot of Atlanta, and it reminds me of, I hope in 5 years, if we're having this conversation again, the place is just busting with action, because it deserves it. This is, Ray Stevens. I asked Dusty Rhodes and I asked Ric Flair who their favorite wrestler of all time is, and they both literally told me Ray Stevens. So, there's just a lot of history here, and I'd like to add to the history. Is it okay that I'm breathing into this mic somewhere? Is that okay?
As long as it's not there.
Okay, yeah.
You mentioned kind of the.
Oh man, I thought you were a ventriloquist for a second because it looked like it came from you. It looked like it came from. What's your name, man?
My name's Nick.
Nick.
That's my name.
Oh. Anybody ever call you Slick Nick?
My father did once.
Just once, huh?
Just once. He made the joke.
Oh, I
and
would've-
never again.
I would have thought that's like a cool thing, Slick Nick, huh? Did you have a nickname, babe?
No.
No?
No.
At least come on, you had a nickname, huh?
No, I didn't have a
No nickname?
What do you do with Brandi?
Brandi.
Yeah, that's it, right? I was Code Man. Code Man, I hated it. And then nobody could spell it right, and they put C-O-D-M-A-N, which is like Cod Man. like I'm a fisherman or something. You had a question, right?
I did.
Yeah.
So you talked about making history here in the Bay Area. So this match could have implications with the leader of Bullet Club. So what does Bullet Club mean to you? Either the name itself, the logo itself, or overall as a product, what does it mean to you?
I hate this term, but it's genuine opportunity. But also I've taken kind of a adversarial slant towards the Bullet Club, and here's why. Slapping Bullet Club on your gear and that beautiful Bullet Club music, all that stuff, that should be a portion of your identity. A portion, not your entire identity. If you're just in the Bullet Club, well, basically you're just saying, well, I was second to, Finn Balor, and I was second to AJ Styles, and now you'd be saying I was second to Kenny Omega. When I was asked to join the Bullet Club, I wanted to make sure I joined the Bullet Club, and I added my brand, I added my identity to it, and that's why I fell in with the likes of Matt Nick, Kenny, Hangman, Marty, and that being the elite type crew, because that's a small portion of everybody's identity. Everybody wants to keep going, and they're very proud of it. I love it. I think if I really think about when they asked me to do it, it didn't fit at all, and now I feel like very fitting.
You mentioned the sort of the smoke and mirrors.
Whoa, I know you.
Buddy.
Are you Baby Huey or
I'm
is he
Bimbo
Baby?
Jimbo.
You're
You
Bimbo
named me,
Jimbo.
speaking of identities.
We did an interview. We've done many interviews, but you did one of the longer Stardust interviews.
Yes,
huh?
sir. Yeah, but
So this one won't be.
When you guys were getting ready to move, so I hope
This
you
won't
guys
be
are
near
all
as entertaining.
No,
Did
no.
we mind meld?
We did. We docked.
Oh.
It was incredible.
Man.
Wow.
Oh God. What the hell was I thinking? Did I read your mind?
You did. All bad things.
Stardust had them powers, man. He did. What's your question, bud?
You were talking about sort of the smoke and mirrors and the wrestling media and stuff like that, maybe some of the criticism you face. Do you sort of, I mean, just this rise that you've had and all this success, do you take sort of special pride in proving those people wrong and sort of anything like that? Get a little bit extra something going for that?
Well, I think we don't like to be negative, right? I think it's real easy to do that, but it comes from a negative place. And if I've learned anything in the last just 6 months, is please your base, your core fans who are on the bandwagon. They're there. So service them. I think a real recipe for disaster for any wrestler or promoter, for that matter, is to try and please everyone. In this day and age, it seems very difficult versus pleasing the ones that are there. And you'll gain more, I think, actually, by doing that. I definitely get a smile on my face when I prove a critic wrong, or someone who's been criticized what I've done changes their tune. But it's not as good as when somebody comes up to you at an autograph signing and they've met you 100 times and they still wanted to meet you again. Like that's better. So I try to come at it from a standpoint of positivity, unless I'm just smashed. And then it's pretty negative. But I save that for the weekends. I don't know, but I try to come at it from a standpoint of positivity for sure.
Cody, what made you change your hair color back?
Oh, yeah.
You want to answer that one?
A recent business endeavor has made him change his hair back.
That was very vague. It was vague.
I am the queen of vague. If you follow me at all on social media, I'm super frustrating, but I always have substance. So I never say anything vague unless it means something big.
Well, some in the room know, or one. I got called to set. I got called to do a TV show. Hopefully, we can break that news in the next soon. Hopefully, but it doesn't affect any of my wrestling dates at all, which means I'll be running, kind of burning things at both ends, but production's gonna fly me to every show I had on the books. I'm not missing a damn thing, and it's exactly the type of career I was looking to. I was kind of looking at my 2-year plan yesterday for what I want, and moving into a potential, maybe do a feature-length film, but also keep everything I have with wrestling, because if I lose the wrestling part of my identity, then I don't have a clue who I am anymore. So yeah, I'm very happy about it, but they said no on the blonde, so here we are.
You're one of the reasons why.
I think with Cody.
This is Justin Barrasso, by the way.
You got it right.
Thank you.
If somebody said it was Basario.
It's a nice.
Basario.
I've heard worse.
Do you know who said that, by the way?
No.
Kenny.
Did he?
Yes. And how could he get that? Did you do that? Did you tell him it was Basario?
It's close enough.
Do you like Basario?
I prefer the name just because of the roots.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brandi had a question for you. I'm sorry.
I know that Cody had so much to prove post WWE, but there's a family lineage. There was so much history. When you look at your success, Brandi Rhodes, like you have no business. I know you're next to Cody, but wrestling the fan base is so, in a positive way, devoted, dedicated, and they weed out those who don't belong or don't deserve or aren't good enough. But like you've thrived under this spotlight, not just because you're next to Cody, because you're doing things that are compelling, and you've been a big part of this success too. Talk about your journey a little bit too. I mean, you're a big piece of who Cody is, not because of Cody, but because of Brandi.
Well, first, can you just draft all of that in a tweet, and then I'll retweet that for anybody who doesn't agree with you?
That's right, yeah.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you. I think we are business-minded alike in that we don't, a lot of what he was saying with Bullet Club, the same is for me with Rhodes. It's not my whole identity. I have a lot to offer, and I'm confident in that in many ways, in the ring, out of the ring, at ringside. So I just continue to work on what I know I do best, and he works on what he knows he does best, and then sometimes those things come together and they're great. But I've learned early, when, like he said, when you try to do too much for too many different people, there's no way to please everybody. I know that in wrestling, what's important to me is I have to like it, and a lot of people don't, but a ton of people do, and they see the vision, they appreciate it, and they see the work, and that's worth so much more than one person who just isn't going to like anything I do, because they're just not going to like what I do in general.
Is
So,
Wrestle Kingdom the highlight, or something you did in the ring?
Well, Wrestle Kingdom definitely is one of my highlights. One of my biggest highlights was wrestling myself at Hurricane Hall, and then my collarbone was broken, I think, 2 days later, so that kind of sullied that for me a little bit, but it still was, that was my best in-ring day ever.
Show them the medal.
No, we're not going to do that. There's the x-rays online.
How's your shoulder holding up right now?
My shoulder is completely healed. It has the metal plate in it, so eventually that's going to come out, which I kind of wanted to keep that because I thought that was cool, but I'm very bony up here, so it sticks out, and it's not for everyone. But yeah, I'm healed, so when the worthy occasion arises, I'll be back in the ring.
You've been responsible for part of the resurgence of the indie scene and building it back up to where people actually give it the credibility that it hasn't seen in quite a while. How does that feel to be the face of this when Colt Cabana has been out there for a while, Kenny, yourself, and the resurgence of essentially the territories?
Ooh, loaded question. Territories is such a scary word. It shouldn't be this way, if that makes any sense. I take a look at right when I hit the scene, Chris Hero. That was independent wrestling, and he was tearing the house down everywhere and just elbowing people's faces off, and just a stud, just so entertaining, so dynamic. And I bring a very different front to what I do. So to even hear that question is really flattering. But for sure, if I'm a product of all the things that currently surround me. I'm very confident in how hard I work. We have this saying, I'll get on the treadmill next to anybody and outrun them. But some people just have God-given talent. Matt and Nick, God-given talent. And you're talking about Colt Cabana, the king of, do it yourself. And then Matt and Nick followed. I'm just a product of that, and I think right place, right time. Even though it seemed like, coming from where I was, it seemed like the complete wrong place. The fact that you asked that question. Right place, right time. And I think this is only gonna get bigger. I think it's only gonna get bigger. I hear people a lot say, like, wrestling's not as popular as it used to be. Man. Some Shawn Michaels told me once, and it's just true. He said, you know how you'll know if you're over? Go to Disneyland and see if anybody stops you. And I think, I thought he was, because then he went and told me that he can never go to Disneyland, and he's swamped. Okay, we get it. But I've never been more noticeable in terms of that feeling of celebrity than now, which is, it shouldn't be that way. I came from the biggest brand in the world, and they're the house that built me, and I thank them for that, but it's a sign of the times. I think, to answer your question, that's all I am, is a sign of the times. Whoa, a lot of hands. Whoa, Will, you're in the back there.
Hi.
Will, what's your question?
After the match that Kenny and Okada had at Dominion, do you feel a lot of pressure following that match and following up on it? Are you putting a lot of pressure on yourself to perform up to that standard?
Well, I didn't get to eat anything I wanted to eat on the 4th of July because I was dieting. So that was like... I always put a lot of pressure on myself. I do. I know that's a kind of cop-out answer, but I value everything I do. And I came from the school of opportunity, which as we know now is kind of BS. Not everything is an opportunity. But I'm aware. I watched Okada Omega from the curtain. That's a match that will live on for quite some time. It's very special, and it's a sign of the times itself with what's going on, the amount of people that have seen it. But I put pressure on me to do the best me. I'm not Okada. I'm Cody Rhodes, and I think he's just as valuable, and that's what I bring to the Cow Palace tomorrow. But I'd like to be the best Cody Rhodes I can possibly be, and I train really hard. I train like I'm still in wrestling school for this wonderful industry. So I'm not worried about what they did. I'm just looking forward to what we're going to do.
You and Kenny kind of scored off last weekend. You guys had head-to-head events between New Japan and Ring of Honor in the main event. I just want to know, did that have any effect on you as far as like pushing yourself to maybe compete with him directly like that, or just what went through your head knowing that you guys were in the same time frame competing at that time?
No, I was happy with what Kenny was able to do with CEO. I monitored it really well just because I'm also promoting a show this year, and I want to see how he did. And it's a historic building, but actually a difficult market that he was in. I don't want to get so far ahead of myself. I don't want to be so full of myself that I'm looking at things on that level. Sometimes I gotta strip it away and just say it's wrestler versus wrestler. I'm doing one show. I'm not at the level to call myself a promoter yet. And I get what you mean as far as the levels, but there's just choice in the world now. So much good choice. You could choose to watch that. You could check the GIFs out on TDE if you wanted to. You could choose to watch on Honor Club what we were doing. I think when I'm out there, there's nothing better than me, and I really mean that.
Cody. So.
Baby Huey. Baby, you know Baby Huey?
Yeah.
You want to know why? He is?
Big fan.
Is it a thing?
Yeah. No,
Her dad is a big
actual Baby Huey.
Who is the actual Baby Huey?
Cartoon character.
Cartoon character. You
Yeah.
named him Baby Huey. You didn't.
I didn't name him.
Oh. Your
You
name.
named
Oh, I thought it was.
You named Bimbo Jimbo.
Oh. Okay.
I thought Baby Huey was like a penis-related name. Is it not?
No.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'll take
Baby Huey named after the cartoon character. Yes.
Good.
What is your question?
So New Japan Pro Wrestling right now has a lot of momentum going, and they're now expanding here in North America. Third show already up here in San Francisco. I know you said you're not the promoter yet, but with that mindset and even the business mindset, what do you want to see New Japan Pro Wrestling to keep doing, to keep this momentum going, and keep expanding here in America?
New Japan Pro Wrestling is you can tell this just from walking in the locker room on day one. Mm-hmm. They're extremely organized, and they're extremely confident doing what they know they can do. I guess I'd like to see them take a bit of a chance. You don't see New Japan take that many gambles because it's already a guarantee, especially over in Japan. Osaka Joe is sold out. The Tokyo Dome attendance continues to rise. But I'd like to see, I think we'd all like to see, what does New Japan Pro Wrestling look like, not just in San Francisco, but what does it look like in Chicago? What does it look like in New York City? Kind of put your money where your mouth is. And you're all here, you already know this. Nobody can go bell to bell. No company can go bell to bell with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So trust your guys. There's one right there. Trust your guys. Trust Kenny Omega. It kind of reminds me of, some of you may know this, I'm sure you all know it, you know wrestling, but when Ted Turner bought WCW, he made sure he acquired certain assets with that. Ric Flair, for example, that was a big part of needed Ric Flair, or they didn't know at the time how much he really wanted Ric Flair, but certain assets, and I see that going on right now. Cuban has placed his bet on New Japan Pro Wrestling and Access TV, and that guy knows business, obviously. So yeah, I'd like to see that chance taken. New York City, I found out the hard way that Staples Center is locked down to WWE.
Really?
They didn't take my call. They did, but you got to take a chance and get out there. That's what choice is, and choice sometimes turns into competition. And yeah, I'd like to see them take that chance. I think they will.
Oh, I think they have to pull him. I'm so sorry.
You got to pull me?
I'm getting the sign, yeah.
Oh, let's do one more.
You got it.
This is Kev.
Yeah.
Big Kev.
I keep you forever.
Yeah, sorry, I'm really long-winded. I apologize if not everybody got their questions. Kev?
Yes, sir. I was curious with, you talk about the power of wrestling media, and you talk about the independent wrestling boom. All In is sold out in 30 minutes or so. It's
29.
widely discussed on the internet that a very prominent and respected wrestling journalist had a conversation with you, and a certain bet was made regarding selling out tickets. I'm curious if Dave Meltzer has ever settled that bet with you financially.
Oh, we haven't yet.
There are terms?
Dave answered.
Yeah.
I have yet to receive my dollar.
Yeah.
It is going to be signed by Dave Meltzer. So I'm very excited about it. And that Dave was not only forthcoming in the fact that, hey, we did this. Dave is on board. He's there, all in weekend, even though Conrad wants to call it Starcast weekend. It's all in weekend. And he's on board, he's there. He's a panel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing a panel.
Doing a couple shows.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Doing 2 shows.
Cool.
So this is we brought the whole family to All In. No matter how much we disagree, agree, criticize, or just kiss each other's ass, everybody is coming. Everybody who loves wrestling, with the exception of like Flip Gordon, gets to be at All In. Everybody's All In, and that's the highlight of my wrestling career. The fact that it's sold out is great, but what we do there, it will matter, and I want to make it matter.
Awesome. All right, thank you.
Thank you.